Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Yeah, I'm a little tardy. I'm a little tardy. I ain't hit the 10-minute mark, right? Just make sure we get all of our things situated. Uh, there we go. All right. With that and that, okay. What's going on, y'all? So, I guess this is not gonna be a lefty rant. We will be just kind of giving a different perspective coming from the left, but not necessarily advocating for the left, if that makes any sense. Um, and we'll just be kind of responding um to Tim Pool, who got his ass handed to him by Emma Velgen, right? A vegan. Ve- Veglin, Jesus Christ, I always say her name wrong. Right? For those of you that know, white woman that be on Majority Report, works with TYT, etc., etc. Yes. Him and his whole cast got their ass handed to them by an upper middle class white woman. I'm just saying, are you really about this? If you really getting your ass handed to you by upper middle class leftist white woman, I mean, for real though. And not only just you, your whole entire cast got your asses handed to y'all by upper middle class white woman from Jersey, for all things. Anyway, goddamn. Right? We ain't gonna defecate on Jersey. Shout out to Toyo. So yeah, so Tim Pool, he speaks about recent article and data that's saying that young men are trending further to the right. And for those of you that have heard me and AB Media say it all the time, like the left, actually the Democrats have a man problem. This is something that I've said multiple times. It's not as if the right is necessarily offering an answer, but they do appeal to men's need and want for order, and they do speak to a certain level of traditionalism, right? So it's not exactly conservatism, I would argue, that the young men are looking for. They want traditionalism. Here's the problem. The right can't actually give you that, because the things that made your white grandfather, the right has helped to shred that. Oops. VA loans, home loans, low interest rate, fighting against neoliberalism, fighting against corporate takeover, fighting against near monopolies, all those things that help to make what we consider men, when we think of men coming out of World War II, pretty much post World War II men, that kind of window between like 45 to like 75-ish, right? The men's men, right? Heart of steel men, took care of their family. Your dad was the only one working men. Yeah, that window, I'm not saying the left didn't have a hand in it. We could talk about Carter and we could talk about neoliberalism and all of that. And by the way, got solidified with Reagan and then re-solidified with Clinton. But Reagan came first, right? Yeah. The things that made even some of your black grandfathers, but definitely your white grandfathers, these, men that we think of, these traditional men, he went out, worked hard, brought home the bacon. Your grandmother was a stay-at-home mom. Yeah, the right has done its very level best to shred that. Go look up the Powell memo. So, I want us to be careful in engaging with the right with this, because they're not safe either. I would also say that it's really culture warring. That's what the left and the right are offering. The right has its own version of the culture war. The left have its own version of the culture war. They're both engaging in the culture war, though. Because actually, this is where the left does better at speaking about, larger systemic issues. The right don't want to talk about systemic issues, because then you're going to see whose hand is in the honeypot. Now we know there's a bunch of lefties who hand is in the honeypot. What does Mr. Z mean? Hand in the honeypot, colluding with corporations. Who's funding whose campaign, right? The left got some of the left got their hands in the honeypot too. Mr. Z won't lie about that. Definitely, oh, definitely. But the right, that's the whole structure. That's the whole model. That's the whole entire model for the right. So of course they're gonna offer you nothing but, yeah, be a man and go to the gym and work out and what else? Uh um uh exactly. Exactly. What else do you have for being a man's man, right? What else do you got? The last thing we really need is for more women to move, not even really to the left, but to be Democrats and more men to be Republicans, because we lose that war every time because there's more women than men. That off a GP, right? Number one. Number two, as I said before, the young men are really disillusioned. It's the same thing, those of you that know Mr. Z did work for the Florida Democratic Party, did not vote for Hillary Clinton. Worked for Florida Democratic Party in 2016, didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. Number one. Number two, my team lead one and the lady that helped to bring me in, Mr. Z kept on informing them, listen, these young men ain't voting for Hillary Clinton. They're not going to do it. If Bernie doesn't win the nomination, I'm telling y'all think that you're going to tell them, oh, but Hillary Clinton this and Hillary Clinton that and policy wonk this and policy wonk that. They're not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And guess what? They didn't. They voted for Trump. I said it. And guess what? I was right. The Bernie bros were not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. Yeah. You didn't think they were that disillusioned. Yes, they were, to the left. So what is Mr. Z saying? It's not that these young men are necessarily conservative, as I said before. They're disillusioned with the right, so they will cut their nose to spite their face. You can tell them, as when Tim Pool was reading what the lady from the article was saying, you can tell them, hey, but the policies we offer, they're better for your life in this way, they're better for you in that way. And they're like, yeah, no, I don't really feel that way. And they're right. And they're right. And I want to be very clear. The right has no answers for you except for feel good. And this is when they start, pandering to men, really white men, with feel good rhetoric about a bygone era, the 1950s or something, and putting black people back in their place and women back in their place and the immigrants back in their place and, the LGBTQ, your soy boy cousin, white cousin, back in his place. That's what they got for you over there. Are they really, really talking and advocating for a stable middle class? I'm not talking about just talking about it. Because the economic game is a zero-sum game. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. The economic game is a zero-sum game. So if they're not promising you stable 60, 65, 70, $75,000 a year jobs, that's unionized, and that's going to come out of the pockets of the uber wealthy and the corporations. If they're not promising you that, then they're not saying nothing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to burst a lot of y'all and y'all lottery dream bubbles. That's how it go. Either the billionaires lose some money or you lose some money. Pick one. Oops. That's how it go. Either America's gonna well, actually, with inflation now, it's more like $85,000 a year jobs, 90,000. Not exactly 100, but kind of, sort of, almost there. 85-ish, 85-ish. If the right's not telling you anything about that, then they just talking. They're just telling you, hey, the Democrats not doing anything for you. And let's say they're right. What are they doing for you? Well, Nothing. And there you go. It's the same thing the right does when it comes to black people. Hey, get off the Democratic plantation. Well, what are you offering? Well, nothing really. Exactly. But you should still get off that Democratic plantation. Well, they flick a couple of crumbs to some of the black LGBTQ and some of the black women. What are you gonna do over there on the right? Well, uh, I'll badger you about you not being a free thinker and thinking for yourself and getting off the Democratic plantation and uh, I might be able to flick a couple of crumbs off, for the black people that have a couple of dollars. Then we got to get into the conversation of, well, is what's beneficial for a couple of black people with a couple of dollars, is it beneficial for the masses? No. Okay, then you're not really offering anything to black people. So, that's the end of that conversation. It's that simple, y'all. So yes, I definitely understand where the young men are coming from, especially when you're in a education system that tells you everything about you is inherently wrong, right? When you're part of an education system, or when you're a student in an education system that tells you everything about you is inherently wrong, and why don't you try pee sitting down? I'm sorry, I had to do it, right? When you are subject to that, then of course, what the right is, well, not really offering, but what they're saying may seem more appealing, especially at 16 and 17 years old, at 18 years old, right? Of course. But that's culture war stuff. What is the right putting on the table, though? Not feel freedom. Cute. What are they putting on the table? Listen, Mr. Z is low key asking 16, 17, 18, 20, 22, 25-year old young white men, what is the right actually putting on the table for you, though? Yeah, they could tell you how the left don't got nothing for you. What they got for you, though? What, old school whiteness? Yeah, that's not a thing. What they got for you, though? We're gonna put them Negroes back in their place. Clearly, Alabama show you that ain't gonna work. What they got for you, though? I could tell you what your grandfather's whiteness was built off of, and it's a whole lot of the state being involved. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. Your great grandfather, your grandfather, their whiteness was built off of, well, the state. Their manhood was built off of, well, the state. And if the right is going to continue to tell you about private industry this and, hustle culture that and work yourself to the bone and die early at the age of 70 this and 65 that, yeah, they don't got nothing for you. They don't have any answers. Sorry. It's that simple. So I definitely understand the angst and the anger and the rage, especially as a man, a straight man, coming from these young men, right? They're disillusioned. It's that simple. And I would argue they're not necessarily conservatives. They see some of the young women, some of the young LGBTQ telling them that everything about them is wrong, and they want to go back to a time when it wasn't that necessarily. Are they really conservative, or are they traditional? And is traditional and conservative the same thing? Questions, people, questions. Right? So, Tim Pool kind of takes glee in this. And I'm like, wait a minute, Tim, you square and lame yourself. If I remember correctly, a few years ago, you kind of lamented being single and kind of lame and square yourself. What, the white women breaking down your door to get with you, huh, Tim? Oh, yeah, that's it. And this is when Tim Ben had a huge channel. Tim Pool has had a huge channel for the longest. And even he was talking about being single. Not really getting with the ladies ain't really, messing with him. Yeah, wait. Oh, wait, we're in an era where white men, even with some money, are struggling when you're lame, when you're square as hell, when you're not actually charismatic. Wait, you trying to tell me the type of super fine women that you trying to get with, Mr. Tim Pool, ain't really checking because they got their own money? And so you might have to have some personality and charisma. You can't just be a white, square, loser dude with some money and it's messing with you. And so now you think it's cool that, oh yeah, the men are more like me. We're more kind of conservative, kind of centrist conservative. Yawn. Him and Ben Shapiro with their fast talking like this, kind of like this. And we think we're making a point when we speak like this. And you let Emma take your head off. Wait, I'm sorry. Rewind. You let Emma take you and your whole crew head off. That was a murder in there. Wait a minute. You let the square white girl. Hey, you let Emma take your head off. You and all your whole crew. Biggie said, call the coroner. Oh man. No wonder you were struggling. I don't know if you still are struggling. I haven't been keeping up with him too much lately with the women. Because you're trying to date attractive version. Well, Emma is whatever, standard white woman shit over there. But yeah, you trying to date like super attractive white women that's educated like Emma, and it ain't working. You can't your head taken off. Right? Your head top on the floor. Right? Oh yeah, ad hominem attacks all over here. Because Tim Pool think he's actually saying so. Dear young white dudes, Tim Pool ain't saying that. I'm okay with you being conservative and voting on the right. Cool, your prerogative. But Tim Pool don't got no answers for you, bro. They're taking your disillusionment with the left, which is warranted. Mr. Z ain't never gonna tell you it's not warranted. They're taking your disillusionment with the left and then giving you what exactly? Right? What are they like? And this is always my thing. Whether it's the left or the right, whenever they like poke fun at the other side, Mr. Z is always like, okay, then what are you offering exactly? Right? And like the right kind of offers like some type of yesteryear masculinity in a vacuum. Because they want less state control when the state is what dictates that. Oh god damn, Mr. Z, you wasn't supposed to say that. Oh wait. Oh wait, let me get this right. Y'all think your manhood is in a vacuum? You think what you think is a man is in a vacuum? You don't think the state has something to do with that? I'm sorry to burst some bubbles in here. Especially for white men. Wait, you think your white masculinity is in a vacuum? right? Y'all let Emma Viglin take your head off over there. Anyway, let's get back to some real stuff. Real stuff, right? Real stuff. So I said this to Dr. Thunder when he covered it. Let's be more serious. I argue that the right is really offering, if anything, if they're offering anything, what they're really offering is a return to well-ordered white supremacy instead of the chaotic white supremacy that the left is offering. It's all white supremacy at the end of the day. I just want everybody to know. Instead of, rainbow hair, a bunch of people walking around like Takashi 6ix9ine and major megalopolises, if I could ever get that word out correctly, right? Instead of that, instead of, your weirdo girl cousin telling you about pansexuality and et cetera, with the butch haircut that's still rainbow colored, right? What the right is offering is a return to yesteryear, 1953, well-ordered, white male-dominated white supremacy. But really, is it though? Because as I said, that was still built by the state. The state is the one that maintained segregation. The state is the one that maintained the hierarchy of white supremacy. Also, obviously, backed by the private sector. Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. But it was the state. So if the right isn't going to do something to put white men back in the position, and men in general, because there's no way you're going to do that without black men being like, oh, excuse me. So if the right has no answers for how we're going to put men in the position to have a bunch of kick-ass $85,000 a year jobs, where at least on the lower end they can be somewhat stable enough to take care of family, where their wife is barely paying a bill. If the right isn't offering that, then exactly what they're offering. Culture war. That's what they're offering. Feel good culture war stuff to men. Primarily white men. Right? Train tracks, train tracks, train tracks. Let's see if we can get in front of you. And yeah, there we go. Right? Y'all give me 1 second. Let me turn this corner and get out the way, and then we will continue. Okay. All right. As I was saying, poking fun at the right again a little bit. I know the right ain't talking about simps and lames. I know we ain't talking about simps. Y'all really want to talk about that? Because I will admit that the left has a whole lot of lames and simps. Oh, most definitely. Right? I want y'all to understand, a lot of these dudes is way more red pill than y'all actually think on the left. It's all a game. These dudes is running through them. They pretending to be more square than they actually are. I'm just letting y'all know. Right? Low-key dirty macking. That's what a lot of the dudes on the left are engaging in. Right? They getting way more cheeks than you think they are. On that note, let's be very clear. There are multiple videos of conservative dudes complain about not getting no women, not just the super attractive ones. And I'm mainly talking about white guys here, right? Because I contend that for the most part, black men are not part of this weirdo binary of extreme left or extreme right. You do see some of these characters on social media, right? The Hodge twins, Tatum, and all these other people. But in reality, black people, particularly black men, are don't necessarily occupy these extremes, right? But the white dudes, on the other hand, oof, right? I want to also get on the right for helping to raise some of the most entitled a-hole women ever. What do you think you're doing when you raise your daughter that your son is the one that's supposed to go to work for 10 and 12 hours a day and bring home the bacon, and all she got to do is fold some sheets and make sure that his clothes are ironed and have some food on the table? What do you think you're raising other than an entitled, spoiled brat that you then release to the world and that goes Karening? Karens are on the left and the right, people. Dear Tradcon white men, you raise some of the most spoiled, entitled a-holes the world has ever known. Yes, the left is engaging in that also, but the right has its own version. Let's be very clear. Right? The right is also offering some authoritarianism. Right? And authoritarianism is the enforcement or advocacy of strict obedience to authority at the expense of personal freedom. You think they're not trying to take your freedom over there? Black people should know better than that. You think? Right? Both the left and the right. You go too far left, you're going to end up with a left leaning authoritarianism. You go too far right, well, you end up with a right leaning authoritarianism. You would think black people who mainly came from the South would know that, right? Especially the strict obedience to authority at the expense of personal freedom, right? If tradcons, traditional conservatives, aren't going to do something about women's delusion, then they are just all talk and gassing men's heads up. And quite frankly, they're not going to do anything about that. You have the repeal of Roe versus Wade. Okay, cool. The attack on affirmative action. All right, cool. What else? What are you going to do to put men back in college and university and back into earning stable incomes where they can actually support a family? What are you going to do about men's real material condition? Young men and boys in their real material condition, right? And Will AR says, and thank you for the super chat, no point in slaving for a dime anymore. New cars, they EVs with AI that control and track you. True, true. EV, yeah, Will AR is right about this. Um, New computer, new smartphones, more tracking devices. That's true. New house, renting it from Blackstone private equity. Bruh, that's all conservative. Well, no, actually, some of the tech stuff that's lefty. I'm not even gonna lie. That some of the tech stuff is left. Some of the tech stuff is left. But the Blackstone renting from Blackstone private equity, yeah, that's the right, right? That's definitely the right. The question is for men's real material condition. You know what made men men? Stable jobs, unionized jobs that pay enough where his wife might not have to work, where he could save enough to potentially put a kid or two through college. That's what made men men. It wasn't all this, oh, chopping wood and be able to work. First of all, you ain't working on these new cars. Stop it. Maybe an oil change if you're lucky. Right? And Will AR says, Z, deregulation of banks is conservative, at least starting with Reagan. Clinton picked up the baton. It creeped out with Carter, but definitely Reagan. Oh, Reagan solidified that. Oh, yes, he did. Most definitely, right? And both Reagan and Clinton both gave the sentiment that the era of big government is over. That was the private industry saying, yeah, we here now. Big business is here now. Right? Remember, Clinton was responding to Reagan with the third way. Right? Can y'all give Mr. Z 1 second? Y'all talk amongst yourselves. Y'all give Mr. Z 1 minute. I'm back. I'm back. Yeah, y'all. So, yeah, no, the look, there's a whole lot to say that's lacking about both sides of the political spectrum. But I don't think black men particularly fit in nice and neat in either side. I don't think anyone actually fits nice and neat in either side, but particularly black men, right? I understand that this is really about black boys, well, excuse me, for boys, young men, right? And they're trending rightward. As I said before, I would say that's a response to the current environment, right? Per se. And actually, someone actually did ask Dr. Thunder, are these young men going more right, or has the left gone further left? Culturally, that's an argument to be made. Has the left really gone further left with how they advocate for economics? Nah. The left got its ass handed to it, right? You can argue where the country is politically, definitely economically, is definitely on the right. Culturally is where the left made it stand. And slowly but surely, the right's chipping at that also, right? The right is chipping at that also. All the left really does have is the culture. They won the culture war. And because they won the culture war, what you see on the day to day, on television and whatnot, all of that is culture war stuff. And that's why I would argue the young men are thinking the way they think and feeling the way they feel. And they're responding to the environment the way they are, which is understandable, completely and totally understandable. I don't begrudge the young men for saying, you know what, if the left is on this, then I'm not doing that, right? But the question once again is, what is the right necessarily offering you to make you feel and think as a man, right? What is the left offering? What is the right offering? The left isn't offering real masculinity there, or soft masculinity, or pliable and breakable masculinity. What is the right offering to solidify your masculinity instead of only poking at the left, right? Hmm. Right. Now, I'm sorry, y'all. For a second, I couldn't see you guys' comments. I thought something was up. And BGS said Clinton was the golden age of neoliberalism, wasn't he? Right? It looked good for a second, though. Right? It looked good for a second. That people have borderline fawn thoughts of Clinton. It looked good for a second until the chickens came home to roost from Reagan and Clinton's economic ideas, and then the hangover. See, that's what I'm saying, BGS, and we said at the same time, the cupboards are bare. There's nothing to offer. No, the right has something to offer, though, BGS. The right has something to offer. Feel good shit, and to tell you to go to the gym. Right? Both of these parties colluded in screwing over working class men, y'all. Both. Right? PK said, "Are you drunk?" No. Not even close. Not even close. Not drinking and not drunk. Right? But yeah, no, the both of these parties have not much to offer to young men. The right is just better at packaging their nothing. Right? They'll poke fun at the left because the left got the supposed soy boys over there, as if the tradcons are necessarily offering you what? An early grave? At these current income levels, what you doing if you working hard to be a super provider, but working yourself into an early grave? right? Oh, BJ said the right is doing counterculture war. Well, yeah, if the left won the culture war, then you're right, right? I guess it was counterculture in the 60s and 70s, and now the culture is the left, so the counterculture is what the right is doing, which which sounds weird, right? As I said before, what exactly is the right offering the young boys and the men, other than poking fun? Where's the stable jobs? Where's the unions? Where's the community centers for men to go bowling, the bowling leagues, and all that other good stuff, right? The community football leagues and all that other good stuff. It's one thing to tell the young men to, hey, get off your mom's couch, stop playing video games, stop watching adult content, you know. But when they go and brave the university and college campus and come out on the other side with a degree, now what? Right? What else we got for them? Now what? Okay, they don't want these men don't want to hear nothing about, their material condition and how the left can make that or alleviate it just a smidge. Cool. Okay. But what does the right have? That's my point. Unions are lefty programs. That's my point. Right? If the right says deregulate the markets, do people really understand what that means for you in your life? Trickle down economics. Do people understand what that means for you in your life? Crush the unions. Do you know what that means for you in your life? Marketplace of ideas, housing market, marriage market, market. Do you understand what that means for you in your life? Once again, a neoliberal assessment of everything. Right? How much of the way, though? Okay, fine. A lot of dudes found themselves in manosphere spaces because of their interaction with girls and women. Girls when they were under 18, women when they were over 18. Fine. How much of the reason why she thinks the way she thinks is because wait a minute, deregulated media and entertainment that targeted her when she was a kid. Deregulated. I feel the ghost of Frederick Hayek and Milton Friedman watching over us right now. Right? I understand why the young men sound the way they do. It's predictable and it's actually understandable. Very understandable. Maybe I'm not even going to say that because that's what get people in trouble. But this two-party system, I'll say it like that. This two-party system is for the birds. It's for the birds, for real. Because if one party is where supposedly where the soy boys are, and the other party, well, is going to do to you kind of what the left is doing to the women, which is stroke your ego and make you feel like a man's man without offering you anything that makes that possible in this society because your manhood doesn't exist in a vacuum. Now what? right? Authoritarianism, well ordered, last gasp of white supremacy. I'm forwarding to everyone that that's really what the right has to offer. And without the resources, how much white men are really actually able to engage in that? If you're middle class white dude, what middle class? If you're middle class white dude doesn't have the resources, how is he really truly able to engage in that? Right? And I would argue that's what the young men, that's what they're responding to. They may not be able to articulate it, but they're going to these schools, right? I think they would say high schoolers. They go into these schools and they're in their environment where the teachers and the entire system is deferring to the girls. All right. And the boys are responding to that. And if what is associated with the women and the girls is left politically, and the left says everything about you is inherently wrong, especially if you're not kowtowing to the delusional ass girls and women, then of course these young men are going to fall victim or prey is a better word, way better word, fall prey to the not really having an answer ass right. Because their answer is what now? As I said before, 1950s manhood that was propped up by the state. Yeah, no. Right? Hmm. Brooklyn says, I don't see this ending well in NYC. I don't see good things happening. It's so many people here now and it's bad. Right? Tom Robbins, slave market. You feel me? Right? What percentage of of people at a certain age they said work gig jobs? Are piecing together gig jobs? I don't even want to say job with it. Let's be clear. Let's be honest. Gig work. Gig work, not even jobs. Gig work. That's what the young men, the boys are responding to. Right. We've made higher ed gendered. We're, it's almost as if we're working on making aspiration gendered. God damn. Right? And offering an answer non-answer, which is really just poking fun at the left and calling them soy boys, when the tradcons offer you what exactly? Cosplaying 1950s men? Cosplaying granddad and great granddad? That's what the right is offering you? Because if you can't make your wife a stay-at-home wife, like great granddad did, then aren't you cosplaying? If you yourself only working 40 hours a week can't put a couple of cars in the driveway and a couple of kids through college, aren't you cosplaying granddad? Or great granddad, better yet? If you're not known in the town or the city you're in, you're not part of no union, no bowling league, no football league, no, you know, you're not going to play tennis or anything like that, golfing. That's what I was looking for. Golfing, all right? You're not building a nice pension at work. You barely gonna need your social security when you get retired, right? And your job is pretty damn secure. You damn near gotta fight your boss for you to get fired. And you have your paid time off accumulates nice. If the right isn't offering that, then they're offering you cosplaying being real men, right? Because what is real manhood built off of? When we think about it, we're not thinking about them, the men, whether white, black, or otherwise, that came up during the depression. We don't think about those men when we think about real men. When we think of men's men, hard as nails men, we're not thinking about no men that came up during the mid 20s, right? Early 30s. We're not talking about those dudes. We're talking about the generation that came out of World War II, that were 20 and 22 and 25, maybe 30, back in like 1945, 1948, 1950, 1953. Those are the men we're talking about. And what was their manhood built off of? Right? And I'm tying that to the young men, because the young men don't know all of that. They're just feeling the environment and they're like, okay, this don't look good. And if that's what the left looks like, those women over there, oh, excuse me, those girls over there, then I guess I'm not that, so I'm over here, right? But what exactly is the right doing to put you in a better position? Selling you a bunch of do for self stuff? When great granddad whole entire masculinity was built off of the GI Bill? Goddamn. And cheap and affordable housing loans? Well, that part too. All of that social left. Hmm? And making sure that these corporations and companies don't practice union busting, and the left, and kind of sort of sometimes the right, making sure to trust bust, breaking up breaking up those big banks, making sure that certain companies don't merge with other certain companies. That's what granddad's masculinity was built off of, right? That's what masculinity was built off of. Tim Pool not gonna tell you none of that, right? That's Mr. Z's super long-winded, forever long, roundabout way of saying Tim Pool is not gonna tell. Tim Pool is gonna poke fun, ha ha ha. The soy boys on the left, ha ha ha. Yeah, you got the Jimmy Doors, but they're not celebrated, ha ha ha. While he claims to be some sort of kind of sort of objective. Pro tip: none of us are truly objective. While he also claims what centrist left-ish kind of sort of, not really, right? Tom Robbins, yep, built on competition with the USSR, true indeed, right? You get a lot of some of that, so because it was easy for the Soviets to be like, look, y'all all about private industry over there. Look, your people's is starving. That's the Soviet used to throw, right, segregation in America's face all the time. That's why that's one of, not all of, one of the reasons why America, okay, yeah, we looking kind of bad on the world stage. This ain't looking good, right? Can't claim to be better than the Soviets over there, right? When our permanent underclass is, you know, and that's what Martin Luther King was doing, like shaming the U.S. in front of the world. Well, what happens when the Soviet Union falls and America stands alone for a couple decades as undisputedly the world's superpower? Now what? Right? When they don't have to counter anyone's claim for a good couple decades. Now what? Right? So my whole thing to the young men, hey, I get it, right? I definitely understand Mr. Z is subject to this weirdo stuff too, so I can just imagine being 17 now. Being 17 now in a high school with what? A couple thousand kids, right? Imagine that. When it's clear your school is primarily run by women, the girls get preferential treatment. On a surface level, all of you are told, if you put your head down and you work hard enough, you can all make it. But really, the girls are the one who get that special push, right? The girls are the ones who get the special push. And the boys see that and they feel that. And if what is associated with girls is left-leaning politics and social issues, then the boys, 17, 16 years old, you're like, yeah, I'm not that though. I'm not that. If that's where the LGBTQ, 16 and 15 and 17-year-olds are and 18-year-olds are, I'm not that. And if that's where the girls are, I'm not that. And if that's what the majority of my teachers vote, I'm not that. And my teachers just so happen to be what, 80% women, 90% women? Yeah. And you add the internet on that, right? And the young men, the boys, are sharing Andrew Tate videos and Jordan Peterson videos and maybe even, yes, Tim Pool videos, Kevin Samuel videos, the Whatever Show videos, Rolo Tomasi videos, maybe even some BGS videos, all of that. Fresh and Fit, Coach Greg Adams, sharing those videos, right? And then also watching is Ben Shapiro, old videos of Ben Shapiro going to college campuses and shredding all of those 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old lefties that are just not ready for him. And once again, if the other side looks like that compared to Ben Shapiro, and I'm not that, then I'm over here. Right? And I would submit to everyone that's why the young men, I don't think the young men are truly conservative. They tell you when you're young, that's really when you're, you know, that's when you're the furthest to the left. Excuse me. And I would argue the young men aren't truly conservative. They're longing for something. And the left is just now starting to be like, okay, what are we going to do about this? That's what Christine Imba is all about. That's what some of what Richard Reeve is all about. And Scott Galloway. Right? Christine Imba said as much. So Tim Pool is celebrating a bunch of disillusioned young men saying, "Hey, I'm voting to the well, not even voting. I more identify with the conservative side of politics." And quite frankly, do we know how much young black men had anything to do with that? Because as I said, I don't think any of us at all fit nice and neat in any side of the political spectrum, but particularly black people, particularly black men, right? Lithium, from my understanding, Eisenhower could have went either way. Both parties were courting him, right? And Lithium says, "I'm an Eisenhower Republican because of these crazy anti-male social justice warriors voted Bernie twice." And a lot, I don't know if you were here earlier, Lithium. I said that, like I said earlier, those that know, Mr. Z worked for the Florida Democratic Party back in 2016. And I said to my mentor at the time, look, Bernie bros ain't voting for Hillary Clinton. They're not. And I didn't say that like in October. No, I said that like in May, right? I was saying that early. Bernie bros are not going to vote. I was telling her that, like, was it even May? It might have even been early. It might have been April, May. I'm like, look, Bernie bros ain't vote. They're not voting for Hillary Clinton. They're not. Right? And so we end up once again in this situation where the young men and boys are, and this is where I get on the left. Yeah, so good job in causing the young men and the boys that would maybe possibly be on the left at least for a good 20 something years, 30 something years, as they acquire more things, and they might slowly go to the right, but not extremely right, right? Good job at causing them to be disillusioned because of what you decide to defend, because your version of the culture war means that you continue to talk about sex and sexuality, and now the young men are like, yeah, I don't want to be associated with this type of stuff. And they're going to the right as a reaction, right? They're moving to the right as a reaction. The left should have a stranglehold on 17-year-old about to be a voting age young men. But y'all gave that up. Thank you, Black Uru. And Black Uru said, I knew Hillary was losing when my daughter said all her white female college peers were Bernie supporters who hated Hillary. Pantsuit wearing Hillary Clinton. Okay, fine, cool. Right? The left is going to have to eat the fact that y'all gave up the youth. When you put your thumb on the scales for Hillary, and I understand why, because Hillary came with that bag in 2016. Clinton Foundation and all the scamming. Anyway, Hillary came with the bag in 2016, allegedly, right? Bought the Democratic Party. I want to say that again. Bought the Democratic Party. That's what the whole, mix up with her and what's homegirl from down in Debbie Wasserman Schultz and all that other stuff. Yeah. That's what all of that was. Politely, not so politely, moved Bernie out the way. And so you're dealing with the consequences even this far out. Right? That was what, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. 7 years later, you're still dealing with the fallout of that. You're dealing with the fallout of that when Trump got elected because you thought Hillary was going to beat Trump. Oh boy. Won the popular vote, still got outmaneuvered by Kelly and Conway, so there's that. All right. Lost the white male vote in 2020, and that's the only reason that, well, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why Biden beat Trump. If y'all don't know, like, Trump's numbers went up with every demographic except for white men. He lost the white male vote, and he didn't even really lose the white male vote. He didn't have as much of the white male vote as he did in 2016. That part. All of that is fallout from putting the thumb on the scales for Hillary over Bernie, and then, you know. And now we're just about to start real, you know, the political season is just about to start really ramping up. And the answer from the left is what now? Geriatric ass, always falling ass Biden, who told you he feels no sympathy for what, young people or for millennials? That guy? RFK Jr., who's nothing like his father, not in the political imagination anyway. Who? Pete? Yawn. Buttigieg? That? Nope. Next. Azalea Cortez? Stop it. Y'all gonna keep her in Congress forever. She's gonna be what's her face? Nancy Pelosi 2.0. Maybe, possibly, kind of, maybe. Who else the left got? Newsom out of California? Beto O'Rourke, who still can't win Texas? Next. Y'all do understand that much of this fallout is because you put the thumb on the scale. It would have been a real, even if Bernie lost, it would have been a real race, Bernie versus Trump. But we can't let the Jewish socialists run on the left. That's just too many. That's, yeah, right. Can't let the Jewish socialists run on the left. On top of that, oh no, too much going on there. Yeah, too many fears. Socialism, small hat, right? On the left, yeah, no, no. All right then, deal with it. Right. And Lithium says millennials need to vote Trump as revenge vote for Black Bernie for for Block Bernie 2 times. You know, low key, you're not the first person I heard that said this. So yeah, um, revenge for Boomer paternalism. Swing state votes were dotted on from 2017 to 2021. Yeah, but the paternalism isn't. It's not from the BGS and Black Uru boomers, right? The paternalism is like from. Is it really even from old white men on the left? Or is it old white women? Is it boomer white women? Right? Scott Galloway speaks about this all the time. How he says boomers, let's be very clear, white boomers don't want to let go. Right? White boomers just don't want to let go. And they have rigged the system for the past, what, 40-ish years to make sure they win. To make the world as comfortable for them as humanly possible. To hell with their parents, to hell with their children, to hell with their grandchildren, kind of, sort of. Right? So, I just wanted to kind of give my not so concise, right, notes. I don't know why it was kind of pointless because I rambled. Response to Dr. Thunder and Tim Pool. I don't think Tim Pool is a good faith actor in this conversation at all. Um, you got your you got your ass handed to you by Emma fucking Vigeland, bro. Um, come on now, right? So, um, yeah, I don't think Tim is a good faith actor. I think he's taken advantage of the disillusionment of young men and boys, and I think a lot of what that side of those people do is that, right? Because they don't actually offer answers. What are their answers? I'm specifically talking about the palm colored people. That's why I mentioned your white men were built off of policy. What you think of manhood was built off of policy. That was the state. And if the right isn't offering you anything about the state intervening to put you in position, they're not. Because all this get out of the mud, and yes, white men have their own version of get out the mud. As a matter of fact, Sarge Willie Pete covers this a lot also. That hyper individuality, get it out the mud, pull they're kind of telling their men to get it out, pull yourself up by the bootstrap also, and that ain't working. And now what? Right? And if this is a zero sum game, which capitalism is kind of, and you put your daughters in position, well, socialize them to take ownership of being head of household. Oh wait, that part. Uh-oh. Yikes. Right? So my answer is the left and the right don't have no answers. Well, that part. And so Tim Pool could poke fun at the left all he wants. The right doesn't have any answers. And don't worry, as those young dudes, young white dudes, get older, they'll realize that also, but they'll still vote for the right because, culture war stuff. But it's not because there's any answers over there. If you're making $15 an hour, 12, $10 an hour as a 30 something, 40 something year old, barely could afford your truck and your insurance, let's be very clear. You're not voting. You don't go to the polls and vote. That's okay. Understandable. But you support some of these right leaning politicians. Well, have fun with no lube. The left at least offers some lube and whisper sweet nothing in your ears before you get piped. On the right, it's borderline grape. Mm, right? And I'll let you know it's going to be borderline grape. Reminds me of the politician off of 300, the backstabber. I forgot his name in the movie. I forgot what his name was. Right? My thing is for the left and the right, especially black men, part of the black manosphere, don't let the culture war blind you to the fact that a whole lot of Americans don't got no goddamn money. And that's orchestrated, by the way. That's on purpose. That's why Mr. Z can't keep the word neoliberalism out of my mouth. That's why I continue to reference the Powell memo all the time. That's why I continue to say Obama said, "Hey, I'm what stands between you and the pitchforks to the bankers, right? That's why I continue to tell you. They say these banks were too big to fail. Wow, and then they just got bigger and gobbled up all the banks that did fall, all the smaller banks. They just ate them up. That part. Hey, Sahel, you see me?" And Sahel says, "Both the left and the right share the same problem. The entire top leadership are old and gray. Makes me wonder when millennials would get a turn at the top." Literally, as boomer white folks die. Literally, that's when younger Xers and millennials get it. You're gonna have to literally, when after they die, remove their body, their remains from the top. That's when. Because in many ways they have insulated their wealth and their power. The issue is that this is when it's going to get ugly, people. They did leave a whole lot of money to their children, white children. Now what? Now you're going to go from white boomers that played the game and hoarded the wealth to their spoiled brat ass children who didn't even play the game, just got the money. Oh boy. You think older Xer and boomer Karens are a problem? You imagine their freaking children, the entitled 35, 40-year old millennial white girl who only worked a 9 to 5 because daddy said, "I'm not buying this and paying for that and doing this." What is she when her parents pass away? Oh my God. Right? What about the young man that's 35 and 40 and 32 years old? What does he become, white man, when his parents finally pass? The a-hole son, the entitled brat white son, right? Y'all think Hunter Biden is bad? Oh boy. You know how many Hunter Bidens are waiting in the wings for their parents to die? Hunter Biden's what, in his 50s? You know how many 30 something year old Hunter Bidens are waiting for their boomer parents to die? How much Donald Jr. are waiting for their parents to die? Don Jr. is a slime ball too, right? And then you imagine these people being conservative on top of that, air quotes, conservative, telling you to lift yourself up by your bootstraps, and they're only where they are because daddy and mommy left them 250, 300, 400, a million, $1.5 million life insurance policy, right? Just a thought. Anyway, on that note, everyone, let me end it out on here. I know there's a couple of brothers streaming, so y'all go check out their streams. So let's do our outro. Um, We'll pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. Thank you for listening to my ramble. Not so much a rant, right? It wasn't a rant. My ramble, kind of poking fun at. And if y'all want to see a white woman walk into a room and behead a whole bunch of white dudes, y'all go check out when Emma Vigeland was on Tim Pool, right? And it may not seem so overt, right? Mr. Z is doing extra when I'm speaking about it this way, but y'all check it out and just watch how she maneuver in that room, and yeah, right. So yeah, I poke a little bit of fun and made some ad hominem attacks at Tim Pool, old extra lame ass, right? But if once again, if the centrist and the right aren't going to tell you anything about these 400 and something $1,000 average home prices, and doing something about the car dealerships, um, marking cars up how much percentage over MSRP, if they're not going to tell you anything about stable union jobs, if they're not going to tell you anything about um, name it, right? If they're not saying anything about this stuff, then they don't got answers for you except for culture war stuff. As BGS said, counter culture war stuff. And that's not a real answer. And by the way, the reason why that matters is because the masculinity and the manhood that you're seeking and that you're longing for is built off of that. Right. Wait a minute, let me see that. And Lithium said Gen X is going to be worse than boomers, and they know how to use computer. Yeah, that yeah. But Gen X isn't a huge generation though, and the boomers are holding on. Gen X, perfect example. Gen X is going to suffer what Charles is suffering right now. I'm not going to say his full title, where your parents held on to the game so damn long that you really ain't gonna be able to enjoy it like that. Like that, you're not gonna be able to enjoy your stint, in the position of power for too long because your parents just held on too damn long. And so, yes, Xers' parents some were boomers, but for many Xers, their parents weren't boomers. But the boomers are holding on so long that when the Xers finally get the position, it's gonna be like blink, and then they're just gonna start passing away too. Right. So I hear what you're saying, Lithium, but yeah, Xers ain't. They're not gonna have the game that long. They're not. Right. And Xers, yeah, yeah, yeah. Xers come with a whole different host of issues that are similar to boomers and millennials, but also different than boomers and millennials. You can argue Xers were the first ones to really get targeted with a lot of this lifestyle branding stuff. Right. Spademan, when you say watch this, I'm thinking about the song with T Pain and who else was on that song? I don't know which song you're talking about, but that's the song I'm thinking about, right? But yeah. But yeah, so um yeah, no, Lithium, that's actually a interesting comment, right? Something to think about. Right. Okay, okay. He says the Usher meme. Okay. Right. So we'll truly pause right here. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content. I know artist streaming. I think I've seen a couple of other brothers um kind of memo or thing pop up on my phone. Oh, Dr. Ronald Neal is also streaming, or at least he was, maybe, kind of, possibly. So y'all go check out, go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. Um, Thank you, Dr. Thunder, for bringing this to us. I did have points, and I kind of went over them kind of quickly. But yeah, like I said before, um, been saying that Democrats have a man problem. I don't know if the young men are actually conservative or if they're just longing for some type of traditionalism and some type of I'm not the worst thing in the world because I was born with XY chromosome, right? So, I would argue there's that. PK says do a panel. Okay, so when can I do a panel? When? I might be able to do a panel in the morning, right? I might be able to pull a panel in the morning and we could get more in depth about this. So for those of you that don't know what I'm responding to, y'all go ahead and check it out tonight, and I'll try to open up a panel tomorrow morning. So let's do that, right? So yeah, let's try to do that. So um yeah, Mr. Zeal, I'll definitely do my best attempt at opening a panel tomorrow morning. So PK, that my tomorrow morning would probably be, I will try to open up that panel around ish 7-ish Eastern time, right? I'll probably start to stream a little bit earlier than that, but yeah. So and Sandog says it is morning 7 a.m. now. No, it's 7 a.m. for you. And shout out to Sandog, right? Shout out to Sandog. Sandog, when it's 7 for me, it's probably going to be, I don't know what time for you, right? PK said he'll be there. Okay, okay. So I'll open up. And Sandog, if you I guess see what time that is for me, like 7-ish Eastern. If you have the time, definitely I would love to hear what more reasonable conservative brothers have to say about what I'm speaking about. And Sandog, the links are in the description just in case you want to catch up on what I'm covering. I didn't do that great of a job kind of speaking about, putting my thoughts out there. At least I don't think so. But um because I'm not actually against the young men being more conservative, but I don't think they're really conservative. I think it's an appeal to, or not even appeal. It's wanting some tradition, right? Some type of structure, because what the left is offering is just a hodgepodge of whatever the hell, right? And that's just like even the 17-year-old young men are like, right? So yeah. So on that note, because I've done tried to close out a bunch of times now. So on that note, I'll truly end right here. Y'all have a great rest of your night. And shout out to the elders. If BGS or Black Uru are still listening in, I would definitely love for y'all to chime in. But I know my 7 is, oh yeah, no, that's Black Uru's freaking 6. And that's BGS is like 5. 5 or 4. I definitely understand if they can't come up for the panel tomorrow morning, but um GC says super chat to get another hour out of him. I don't know, but yeah, you know, um y'all about to turn me into a whole streetwalker. I don't even want to say the actual term, but right. Right. 4 a.m. Pacific, yeah. 4 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah, 4 a.m. Pacific. Oh yeah, that's definitely too. That's way early for BGS, right? So, you know. So yeah, so we'll end that on that before somebody comes through really. before somebody really comes through with the cash, and I'm actually paid for my services. Right, y'all turning me into a whole streetwalker out here. Right. So on that note, I'll truly end out. Y'all check out either, I think Dr. Ronald Neal is streaming and Art New Style streaming, so y'all know wherever y'all want to go. And we'll truly close out right here. I'm gonna try to stream tomorrow morning because yeah, and y'all go ahead and super chat tomorrow morning for the stream. Yeah, that part, right? And the Cash App's in the link. The Cash App's in the description. Y'all check out what we're speaking about so y'all can know what we're talking about tomorrow morning. The description for Dr. Thunder and for Tim Pool are both in the description box also. So the link for both of theirs. Okay. All right, everybody. Y'all have a great rest of y'all night. Mr. Z out.